Now, one of our investigators found the area. He took tree samples, he took soil samples, and I mean deep soil samples. Anyway, when word got out to the Americans, because the base was still in use at the time, when word got out what he'd found, they literally bulldozed it. They bulldozed, they knocked the trees down, exactly as what they did at Holt area, where Colonel Holt's famous recording was done.
Yeah.
They knocked the trees down there, exactly the same thing. Cut the trees down and try to cover all evidence. But
I didn't know that.
This area one, nothing has grown for all these amount of years, and it's well hidden. And funny enough, they planted all these really thick plants and bushes all round it where it was. To get it's the most densely area of woodland that you can get to, with bushes and trees. So everywhere else is like pine trees, yeah. So you can walk in between the pine trees. Not there. They've got all different trees and bushes growing there. I never noticed it at first. I posted some pictures up, and then a fella from Opening Portal site, Nigel Mortimer, contacted me. He said, "Del," he said, "there's all the forest like that." I said, No, just this area around, where Area 1 is. He said, "You do realise," he said, "what them plants are." He said, "They grow really thick." He said, they're not a lot of plant you'd find in the forest." And it would appear that the Americans, I presume it was Americans or the woodland or whoever, planted these trees there deliberately to try and hide the spot. Whatever time of the year we go, literally you need a machete to cut through to get to it, get to the spot.
Wow.
It's that well hidden. Most people wouldn't bother because you think, I'm not going to fight my way through that lot.
Yeah, it sounded like a jungle.
It is. That's only bit in the forest it is, funny enough. Everywhere else, not a problem. That particular area there, all hidden.
So that's going to be where the main spot is, isn't it?
Yeah. That's not the only place, though. Another little fact that isn't often talked about is when that period of time in the 1980s, it was just after Christmas, 1980, yeah. The school was one of the local schools in Woodbridge was shut down, and obviously the kids were off school. Well, some kids that lived more or less next door to the school, just after the Christmas period, went out to play on the school playing field.
Yeah.
And when they got there, they see the UFO and soldiers standing around it, and thought that, and there was cameras there, thought that they were filming
something, yeah.
They thought it was Doctor Who being filmed.
Yeah.
They ran back to their parents and said, "They're filming Doctor Who in the school playing field." That's what they thought.
Yeah.
What else would you think with UFO and cameras and army guys? Yeah. Anyway, outcome of that was they were told never to talk about it. The school, which hadn't been built long, was bulldozed, closed down and bulldozed. Right, the whole area was fenced off, and it was bulldozed down for no reason. They had to open up another school, basically.
Wow.
You won't hear about this anywhere. These things are the things that are kept secret, yeah? Basically, now, all these years later, it's an old people's home there now. Well, at least it's open, but it's built so you can't get at the back where the actual field used to be. The field was still roped off, actually, all these years later. But they've built it in such a way that you can't just walk round the back. You can't get to where the actual place was. Not very easily, anyway.
Wow.
But people don't realise. See, they hear the Americans' events of what they've done, which are very good. They've told the truth. Larry's told what happened with his account.
Yeah, because I wrote down here American stuff, and I don't know why I wrote American stuff.
And then you get the Penistone, Barrett, Holt. They'll give their accounts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they don't talk about though. They might not even know all about. Actually, I don't know. Is the other sites? We know because we've got some excellent investigators here. What they don't like is the civilians that were there talking about it. Brenda Butler interviewed loads of these civilians, yeah, as well as all the main players that were involved with the base.
Yeah.
And another interesting fact that they tend to forget is these events happened in 1980, where all the publicity is 1980.
Yeah.
Brenda Butler and Dot Street were investigating on base UFOs a full year before that. In 1979, they were investigating UFOs over the base before the 1980 incident. In my personal opinion, this is only my personal opinion, I believe there's a portal there, and I've got good reason for that. Well, in fact, a few of us think we know there's a portal there. So I think we know there's a portal there, and it would appear that just off the coast at Orford and Bordsey, there was an operation called Cobra Mist.
Cope what?
Cobra Mist.
Cobra
Mist.
Yeah.
It was this land-based radar thing, yeah?
Yeah.
Microwave radar, basically. Probably a prelude to HARP, something like that.
Right.
It was supposedly closed down in 1973, because one day everybody went to go to work, and they were told they were all fired. The place was shutting down. I don't think that's what's happened. From what I can make out, all the private sector people were laid off, paid off and left, but military it turned to military personnel. And one of the many theories, because there's loads there, is that was operated in 1980, and that opened up a portal. Hence why a UFO came down, or several UFOs come down. Mostly when you see UFOs, in my experience, there's 3 of them, and one of them may have been brought down, and the other 2 might have just landed somewhere.
So you think it all started with this Cobra Mist thing
Well, we know there was portals there. Aleister Crowley, if you know anything about Aleister Crowley.
Yeah, do you want to tell my listeners?
Well, Aleister Crowley is basically classed as a nasty piece of work.
Very, yeah.
Back in the 20s. He worked for the military. He was involved, they say, with witchcraft. I don't know. He was involved with portals. The thing is, back in them days, anything to do with portals or ley lines was classed as witchcraft. So who's right, who's wrong? And apparently he could bring an entity through called LAM, L-A-M.
Right,
and it was like an alien, for want of a better word, interdimensional being. Well, he actually used to practice at one stage at Rendlesham. Now, of all the places in the world, bearing in mind what I've seen and what hundreds of other people have seen, we think, well, hang on a minute, must be something in it. And then with the UFO encounters like in 1980, for example, plus other ones, there's been a lot more besides the 1980 incidents, but that was the most publicised because they were military personnel. And often people listen to the military and ignore the civilian witnesses.
Yeah.
And that's not always the way to go.
No.
But
not at all.
the sheer amount of witnesses that have seen stuff there, all sorts of phenomena. You know, I mean, you hear some of the stories, you think, oh my God. There's one researcher that comes down there, he's got like a Bigfoot thing on camcorder. He actually filmed it, and they got pictures of it. Yeah? I've not seen one myself, but they have.
Well, you'll never see nothing on the television, on the mainstream news.
No, you won't. You won't. I mean, the stuff that we've come across, you would never ever believe it.
I don't know why I've written 2012 Encounter.
That's 2012 was when I had my big encounter.
Right, yeah, that was that one.
That was by far the biggest thing I've ever had, because it went on for a long time.
Well, what with the soldiers and the monks and the monster, the big guy in front of you?
That's right. I mean, obviously, the word I try to get out is it's not just about 1980. This thing goes bigger and bigger and bigger. You know, it's to do with paranormal. That's why we've got paranormal guys. We've got mediums. Give me an example. I went down there with my sister, my nephew, and a few women, and one of them was a medium. Anyway, we walked through another part of the forest. We stood around talking, actually, not doing nothing, just talking. Next thing, a bit of wood come from nowhere, and it's stuck in the ground like a spear. It went in about 4 inches into the ground, this bit of wood. And we just stood there and could not believe it. It's like someone threw a spear right in the middle to get our attention.
Yeah.
And we just froze. I've got the bit of wood, by the way. I kept it.
Did you move further? Did you carry on, or did you go back?
We just took the bit of wood with us, and then a bit further along, a stone came down.
Oh.
I've got the stone as well. Funny enough, I've got the stones indoors, but the bit of wood I've left outside. I won't bring it. I'm scared to bring it indoors inside my house.
But will you be there on Saturday?
Say that again.
Are you going to be at the Rendlesham?
No.
But you're going to be.
I'm organising the Dr. Jonathan Reed conference.
Please, we've got 20 minutes left. Tell me as much as you can.
Right. On the Saturday the 20th, this Saturday the 20th, at 2 o'clock in Felixstowe at the Conservative Club, we've got Dr. Jonathan Reed and his team.
Yeah.
They have come here to meet us and do a little bit of research in Rendlesham, right? There's nothing to do with the 1980 incident. This is to do with what we're researching now.
Yeah.
But to help pay for the fact he's here, he offered to do a presentation free of charge. They pay their own airfares to get here, I might add.
Yeah.
I mean, when I spoke to him, I said, I can't afford airfares. I said, I haven't got any money. He said, not a problem, we'll pay our own airfares.
I'm glad he's got a few quid, because the bank took all his money, didn't they?
Yeah.
Please, just because I want it to come from somebody else, you know. Can you just very quick, not even quickly. We've got 20 minutes. Just say, what happened to Dr. Reed.
Basically, what happened with Dr. Reed was he was
out with his dog.
He was out with his dog, and they walk along, and his dog went charged behind a hedge, and he thought it had seen a wild animal, and it started fighting with something. He grabbed a piece of wood and ran round the side of the hedge to see what's going on, to see this, for want of a better word, an alien zap his dog, and the dog just turned to dust.
Yeah.
He just went ballistic and smacked the alien over the head with a bit of wood, and thought he killed it.
Yeah.
He was really ill. The whole thing went on for quite a while. He was really ill. He was sick. One thing.
The time went funny, didn't it?
The time. That's it. And he's right what he said. There was a time problem with the time. Anyway, cut long story short, he thought he killed this being. He wasn't. He couldn't believe what it was. He put a sheet over. He had one of them sheets they carry in America. He had a little backpack with stuff in.
Yeah.
Put this sheet over the being and thought he'd go and phone for help, but his car was like, I don't know, 2 or 3 miles away.
Yeah.
Then the sheet flew off, so he sort of tried to roll it up in the sheet and then realised it was really light, and ended up, he thought, blimey, that's really light, and it weighs about 6 pounds. For the size of it should have been a lot heavier, but it was light.
Yeah.
So he picked it up and took it back to his car, really upset. He was ill, upset because his dog had been killed. Put this thing about the car, took it home, put it in a freezer. He didn't want to do it. Put it in a freezer, and he thought, I'll phone for help. I'll ring my mate. So he rang his mate up. His mate said, what is it? He said, I don't know. He said, I don't know. I forgot it in the freezer. So his mate came out to have a look and said, I don't know what to make of that. And then it moved.
Yeah.
And anyway, then he said, well, we're going to have to get some help with this. What I left out is he called at the ranger station to get help, and there was no one there. He phoned the cops, and they said, well, it's probably some wild animal you killed. Yeah, they weren't interested. More important things to deal with. Anyway, over the course of within a couple of days, this thing basically come back to life and climbed out the freezer. And he was trying to communicate with it, and he just didn't. And he said, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hurt you, but you killed my dog, and he's still upset. His mate got in touch with MUFON. So some MUFON people come out to have a chat with him, thinking that, there's nothing to this. And then they see it. They were so shocked, then they went back to get even more help. In the meantime, some men in black turned up at the door, Reed's door, and said, you've got something we want. And he said, I don't know what you're talking about, you're not coming in. He said, I'm going to call the cops. They said, the cops are with us. And he said, he looked out the window and the cop car was there with cops. But they didn't come to the door, just the men in black. Anyway, slammed the door shut and panicked, and he literally thought, I'm getting out of it. Jumped in his car, went to his mate's house, his mate said, look, we'll go back in my car, we'll go and see what's going on. So he went back to his house with his mate with him, go back to Dr. Reed's